program, TV talk shows and analysis. For us as lay people to understand how the TV talk shows and the interviews present your viewpoint properly on the positive side and manipulated on the other side. Can you relate to us your experiences, TV talk shows, maybe your first talk show with Farooq Sheikh in brief?
The first talk show I had, I don't remember the year exactly, somewhere I think close to the early part of the 2000 or late part of the 1990s. That was the first TV talk show I attended in India. And as I told you, the program's name was Mard. And the topic of that show was Biwi Ho To Kaisi. And that called a Christian to represent their view. They called a Hindu, and they called myself, and they called an atheist. There were about 4 or 5 people in the panel, and there was an audience like the way we have here. And they asked that how should a woman be, how should she behave? And everyone gave their view, even I gave their view. And when I started speaking, and while I was convinced when I give a reply, but naturally I give with reason and logic. So at the end of the show, the answer that I gave, most of the panelists agreed with it. Initially, they may have differed, but when I gave the reasoning, that's more important for a woman to look after children, look after the home, not that she can't work, as long as work is modest, she can go and work, and all these things. So the show went off very well. And the moderator, Farooq Sheikh, he was a gentleman. And I was very happy that the first show that I did on the Indian television channel, I was very happy, fine. I gave the answer, the audience questioned me, and they criticized me, they attacked me, I gave the reply. Now, when I gave the reply, the other audience agreed with my reply. That's what I do normally in a live question and answer session. They asked me a question, I give a reply, and I'm giving equal opportunity. And Farooq Sheikh did a good job. But the bombshell came later on. A few days later on, I got a call from the channel saying that the program did not end the way the producer wanted. So we are going to have a reshoot. So please wear the same suit, same shirt, same tie, same dress, and come for the show, we're having a reshoot. And when I got this message from my manager, I said, this is nonsense. Program was fine. There's no problem in it. So he told that, surely we won't be coming, because we felt the program went perfectly fine. So they had the reshoot in the same studio, in the same setup. Maybe all the other panelists came, but I did not go. Maybe most of the audience came. They had a reshoot, and after a couple of weeks, they had that aired on the television satellite channel. And the best part of it was, when anyone sees the show, they are seeing me sitting there, nodding the head many a time, to things which I did not nod at. So what they did, they reshot the whole thing, and they changed the view, though I did not go the second time, but when they telecast it on air, it was shown as though it was shot once, and Dr. Zakir Naik was there, and was agreeing with the wrong things also. So this shows that the integrity of the producer was absolutely unjust. I don't blame the moderator. I mean, Farooq Sheikh, I can't blame him. He's being paid for his job. He did a good job initially. What he did next, I don't know, so I can't comment on that. But the end of the story is that when it was aired, it was made to look that Dr. Zakir Naik, fine, I did speak, and they showed portions of my answers which suited them more than the other part. But when it was aired on the channel, it was shown many a time that the views that I did not agree with, I was shown there as though I agreed with it. So this is what I mean by saying the integrity is very important. So what I say, that these shows, the producer and the moderator, they are doing it for their living. I'm not giving a speech for my living. I'm not here to speak about Islam for my living. I don't take a single penny from anyone. In fact, we give, So because it is a bread and butter, many a time, the producer, they make a show which is liked more by the audience. They are more bothered about making what will sell more or will have a higher TRP rather than to know what is the truth. Same thing with the moderator. If the moderator is commanded by the producer and he chooses the moderator has little say in it. Or if the producer is neutral and the moderator wants to change the show, the moderator can change the show and the producer doesn't bother. So therefore, both are important, the moderator as well as the person who's the producer. So the first show I had went off very well, but the end result, because they reshot it, it was a disaster.
But then you again trusted CNN IBN for another program.
That's
Your
right.
experience on
That was
that?
after many years. I don't know when I think I gave it after maybe 7, 8 years after I appeared for the first show. I think it was maybe 2007, I believe, when I went for the CNN IBN show.
And your experience on that?
There, because it was a live panel discussion, and the issue I think was something to do with Muslims. I don't remember the main topic of that. It was done by
Rajdeep Sardesai.
Rajdeep Sardesai. And Rajiv Sardesai, he was sitting in Delhi, and there were a few panelists in Delhi. One of them, as my memory goes, was the MP. I forgot the name, who was the editor of the Muslim India.
Sayyid Shahabuddin.
Sayyid Shahabuddin, correct. Sayyid Shahabuddin was there, and there were other couple of people in Delhi, and I was alone in Bombay. That too was not a good experience because I was hardly allowed to speak only twice. And when I said something, it wasn't heard there because the microphone is in their hand. So though it was a live show, I could only speak when I was allowed to speak. See, normally in a panel discussion, live, when I speak, the microphone is on, no one can cut me. But here I was in Bombay, they were in Delhi. And I was hearing from the headphone, which was through a mobile, I think, I don't know. So there were questions asked, though it was a live show. It was a live show that was telecast live, but because of this problem that my microphone didn't work until they pressed the button. So there too, it was not a good experience. But because it was live, it didn't do much damage. Only thing that, fine, Dr. Zakir Naik didn't say much or wasn't given an opportunity since it was a live show. It was being telecast live. Because of that, I felt that there wasn't much damage except that I was not given enough opportunity.
They say twice hurt, third time shy. But then again you jumped into the ring. You went in and you appeared on the Rashtriya Sahara's RKB show. And its host, RK Bajaj, most people believe he is usually very critical about Muslims. That's what I understand. Why?
The reason I jumped for the third time was it was an interview. The first two, the first was a panel discussion or a talk show with the live audience, though it was telecast later on. The second was a live telecast. So both were bad experiences. The third was a TV interview. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that in a TV interview, less damage can be done, but damage can be done. So initially I refused, but when I came to know it's a live telecast, then I thought, fine, the damage that can be done is less. They cannot edit my speech. So because it was a live telecast, and whatever that I was saying in the studios of Sahara, it was going live, I did not mind attending it, even though it was RKB. And I should say that though Mr. RK Bajaj did ask questions and tried to promote a view which he knows will create differences in the Muslim audience, and he did ask certain questions, but because it was live, overall the show was good, because I could answer what I wanted to answer, and there was no editing post-show. So based on that, I went for the RKB show the third time.
And then last year, we had Shekhar Gupta, the editor-in-chief of Indian Express, interviewing you on his very famous show, Walk the Talk. Was it because you were selected among the 100 most powerful Indians by the Indian Express? 100 most powerful Indians? That, or is some other reasons you agreed to go on his interview? And what was the experience there?
See, normal my answer when anyone wants to take my interview. Fine, as you asked me, Indian channels have appeared. These are the exclusive TV interviews I'm talking about. There are many snippets I've given to various other Indian channels, which I used to give earlier on ETV Urdu and many other snippets, asking my view on certain issues. Even that I stopped now. Because when I give an answer for 5 minutes, they edit 1 minute and show. So besides these 5, I've been on many other Indian channels. But mainly these are small comments on certain issue taking place, whether it be on education for Muslims or whether such topics. Coming to this, why did I accept the interview?
Especially because Shekhar Gupta puts many a prime minister and top leaders of the world in a very hot seat. That's why we're asking you this special question.
So the first time when they asked me to appear for the interview, my answer was no. But then my colleagues and my friends told, that Shekhar Gupta, Walk the Talk, is one of the best interviews that is held in the country. It has the highest TRP. And I, because I don't watch much of the channels, though I'm a man of the media, I appear on TV channels, but I personally don't watch much of television. I did not know what was Walk the Talk until my friends and my colleagues, they told me, it is a very important interview conducted. It's one of the best in which the editor-in-chief of Indian Express, Shekhar Gupta, he conducts this interview. And he's a man of integrity. And he normally interviews presidents, prime ministers, and celebrities of a very high level. And he's a man who you can trust. But before I conducted the interview, I saw to it that I spoke to him. And 1 week before he conducted the interview, he came from Delhi and he spoke to me for more than an hour. And when we interacted, I asked him that after you record this program, which will be talk show while walking, Walk the Talk, I asked him that will it be shown completely or will you edit it? He said it will be unedited. You can take from me my word that 99% unedited, maybe a little bit here or there if you have to, fit in the time duration. So he gave me the word that he will not edit. And he'll see to it that my view is not altered. So because he gave this word to me, and I checked up his background, and I trusted my colleague, I agreed for the interview, which he came to Bombay again from Delhi, and we had the talk on the Worli sea face, where it was again for approximately 1 hour. With the ads, it was approximately 45 to 50 minutes. And I believe it was the best experience that I had with the Indian TV channels. And I trust that Mr. Shekhar Gupta, he's a man of his word. And when I saw the interview, I was very happy. He did not edit anything. He did not change my view. Though the same questions that were so challenging were asked by him. He gave me chance to clarify. I gave my point of view. And believe me, he was a man of his word. He did not edit anything, and he kept it as it is. And that's the reason I liked that show. And that show, next day after it was telecast for the first time, it came as a full-page article on all 21 or 22 editions of Indian Express throughout India. So really that was, besides coming on the television satellite channel, it even came as an article, a full-page article in all the editions of Indian Express.
That's really courageous. And that's what makes India, in one way, very great. When you have courageous people like Shekhar Gupta presenting various viewpoints for what they are, whether the Islamic viewpoint, whether it's the Maoist viewpoint, whether it's the communist, and different. And we have to really congratulate him on that. But before we go into the discussion and the experience you have had on your latest TV talk show aired some 2 weeks back by the same TV channel, NDTV, conducted by host Barkha Dutt, and go into details of the talk, I think it's right that after such a long session, we have a short break.